Right, the good news is we've made it to Dover without a hitch. We're soon to be boarding. We're near Geneva somewhere. The trip so far, well, the Range Rover has been going brilliantly. We went down to Dover last night, then we stayed at the Hotel Formula 1 in Calais, which is very adequate, very satisfactory, as my late father would say. And yeah, the Range Rover's been really nice. We'll describe it in a bit more detail in a while, but at the moment we've had to stop because I'm exhausted. My wife did try and drive the car and it got far too stressful, so I think we had to change over almost immediately. Yeah, so let's get some food, get some provisions, and then head towards Geneva, through the Mont Blanc tunnel, up the hill to La Tuile, which I'll try and film if there's any snow. I mean, look at it. Doesn't it just look great? It just is a design classic, which I think anyone watching this will appreciate. It looks good with some sort of mountains behind it. The tyres are doing well. They are pretty shocking in not deep water, but standing water. I'm really a bit disappointed in these, well, they're Scorpion Zero All Seasons for standing water, but obviously it's fine on the motorway. We've had loads of rain on the way down, but yeah, just filled up with some Intermarché diesel. Probably isn't the best quality, but hopefully it'll get us up the mountain. But I've now got to go and see if we can do some provision shopping. Right, join us shortly. This is one of the joys of little trips to France, the copious selection of beer. The trouble is trying to choose what you want, but we'll see. I'm just wondering if the Range Rover would get up this. It's basically packed snow and ice. I think it might be foolish to try, to be honest, on the tyres that I've got. I've got the Pirelli Scorpion Zero All Season NCS. Although it is a mud and snow tyre, it looks predominantly like a road tyre to me. And I'm particularly not impressed with how they work with standing water. So although it might be nice to get some shots of the Range Rover in the snow, messing about, I think this might be a step too far. But hey, there doesn't seem to be very many places to turn around if it all goes wrong either. This is a sort of zigzag path on the way out of La Tuile. And you've kind of seen the sort of vehicles that should be going up it. Anyway, we maybe try later on in the week, but right now I'll show you where the Range Rover is tucked up safe and sound. This is a great reason to come on a skiing holiday before everyone has got up, just to get out and see the sun coming up and brightening up all the mountains. It is beautiful. Below the building we're staying in, obviously, sensibly, there's a good underground car park. I don't think there's anything particularly collectible in here, but looks like an old Saab. Well, not that old, a 9.3, the compulsory Panda 4x4, although that one's not actually a 4x4. But there she is, almost looking as solid as the construction around it. parked up here, keeping warm. So we might go out for a spin later on this evening and see if we can get into any trouble. Last day of the skiing holiday today. You can hear some water. It's this. I've just managed to get half a day's off-piste guiding today, but I've had to leg it into town to get some cash. So I found an opportunity to get the car out of the garage, which is good. Still no opportunity to get it on the snow to test out the all-season Scorpions, which to be honest I'm quite glad about, because I don't think they're going to handle proper snow. Anyway, here she is in all of her glory, parked next to the electric charger. So reflections on kind of the real reason for buying this car was to take it to a trip to the Alps. It has been fantastic with its new high pressure fuel pump fitted by Venture 4x4 in Shipston. It came through some horrible weather on the way down with us. We had about 4 hours of pretty heavy rain on the motorway, but it does get you to places in a very relaxed way. So what needs doing on this car at the moment? Well, something will need doing, I know that. The only thing I'm aware of, I'll just open the door and show you. The thing that will probably put most of these cars off the road is going to be this corrosion. Mine's in pretty good condition, but you can see some hints of it around here, and obviously when you take the plastic off, I have had a good look underneath, and you'll see from one of my earlier videos I took the plastic, the wheel liner off, and there's a big bung behind here, which just, I think, is the main culprit for this corrosion. It just stops the water, holds the water in there. I think if Land Rover had decided to manufacture these without that piece of whatever it is, piece of sound deadening or piece of foam, these would probably all have been fine. Anyway, this the streaks of travel on the bonnet. What else do we know? Yeah, so it's these tyres that I'm not sure. These are the recommended ones. The Pirelli Scorpion Zero All Seasons. PNCS denotes that it's got the foam on the inside, stuck to the inside of the tyre. It really does make them nice and quiet. But I'm disappointed in how these handle, in the wet, in the standing water. I've had the front of this car pick up a couple of times on a corner, just in water. So I know it's these parts of the tyres here that are supposed to manage the snow, but I wouldn't really trust them, to be honest. So I think it's probably better to avoid the snow whilst here, just for the sake of getting home safely. Anyway, I've got to go and find my instructor, my off-piste instructor for the morning, and change my skis, so I better get on. Range Rover's doing still fantastically. We've taken a small diversion off the motorway to come home because there's a massive traffic jam. I'm happier than a pig in poo because I've been to a French boulangerie, which is great because we've got croissant, we've got pain au raisin, we've got pain au chocolat, and we've got baguette. We are in a small village called Moraine-en-Montagne, I think. We've had a little coffee at this place, which I think is pretty cool because it's got a Total sign on. Where's the car? There she is. So yeah, I think we're about still a good 6 hours to Calais. We're kind of south-east of Dijon. But yeah, it's a nice little bit of cross-country drive, which is great fun in the Range Rover because it is so torquey, as most of you will know. The 4.4 TDV8 just slugs along. My son has, I think, summed it up well. He says it's like being in a floating box, which is pretty much what it's like, the driving experience. Yeah, there she is, just sitting there looking solid. Anyway, I might do another little clip on the way to Calais, who knows. Anyway, see you shortly. We've been back from our trip to the Alps for a week now. It's a Saturday and I'm on the way from Stratford to Cirencester to collect my Lancia Flavia engine, which, although it had been rebuilt, it had started leaking oil, I think, out of the rear seal. So the chap that built it for me, lovely guy, has had that back. But I thought, specifically to the Range Rover, you might be interested to learn the journey so far. When I discovered that the flights for our skiing holiday this year were going to, I think the cost had tripled because the half-term weeks were all on the same half-term, I thought that's my excuse to buy one of these L322s. It doesn't need much excuse for me to delve into a new vehicle, but I thought you might like to know what it's cost me to get it to a state that I was confident to drive it down to the Alps and back. So I've got a list, and I'm going to run through it with you now, whilst driving down the Fossway, but it's perfectly safe, officer. The first cost was the final stage resistor, because the heater wasn't working, 55 quid. A little bit more on that later. Track control arm on the driver's side, the front one that faces from the hub to the rear, backwards to the chassis. I treated it to a genuine one. I know that's pretty crazy, 221 quid. Then it was going into restricted performance mode because of a turbo actuator fault. Diagnostics, 30 quid. I then decided it was time to change the oil cooler and the water thermostat housing. So antifreeze, £12. The oil cooler, I bought a genuine one, which is a Man Hummel make. That was plus engine oil, plus the thermostat housing from Molting 4x4. That was £711. The turbo vacuum pipe, which turned out to be the cause of the Turbo B actuator not working, that was £33.50. Then a new battery for the car, plus a bit more diagnostics for the turbo issue from Venture 4x4, £264. More antifreeze, £25. A fuel pressure sensor, that was £45 because I broke it when I was changing the oil cooler and thermostat. A fuel pressure sensor loom, £49. That was like a recall stroke improvement. It's had an MOT, 50 quid. Front lower arm and a fuel filter. That's the forward-facing driver's side front suspension arm, £122. So that was a aftermarket part, and that 122 included the fuel filter. Then I put a set of Pirelli Scorpion Zero all-season NCS tyres on, 895 quid. And the biggest one was the high-pressure fuel pump, which needed changing, and that was a job I wasn't going to tackle myself. That was done by Venture 4x4, £2,040. Grand total, I've got to turn the page, grand total £4,553, which coincidentally almost takes the cost of this car to me back to the original asking price of the seller that I bought it from. So there you go, not too bad. I mentioned the final stage resistor because it's packed up again. The heater's been making some squeaky noises, the heater blower motor. I suspect that's caused the final stage resistor to fail. I suspect I need to change the heater blower motor, which I've done a little bit of research on, which I suspect is a long job. Anyway, more on that later. thank you for joining me. If you've enjoyed this little journey, please do subscribe. It means a lot, because at least it shows that my presentation is improving and I'm entertaining, or at least giving you some useful information about my journey with these cars. So thank you for joining, and yeah, please subscribe if you would be so kind. Yeah, that looks fine. Yeah, we'll come down and then we'll save the roof lining. This car doesn't even know it's got an engine in the back. Brilliant. Perfect.
All right.